Right now, the Pope introducing himself to the world here in one simple step at a time. Meanwhile, only 2 days into his reign, the Vatican already defending him against accusations he didn't do enough to halt human rights abuses during the so-called dirty war in Argentina. And next, CPAC, the comedy routine. You have Palin, Romney, even Donald Trump invited, but why not Chris Christie? What does it say about the GOP? And later, sexual abuse in the military. We're going to have emotional testimony from Capitol Hill. The pervasiveness of the problem shocked me. I think it'll shock you as well. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thanks so much for joining us this Friday evening, March 15th. Now, we're going to get to the politics and some of the other issues that we're going to get into tonight, but we are learning much more about the new leader of the Catholic Church, and this has been a historic week for the Catholic Church. By all accounts, a simple man, and it seems that he plans to stay that way, choosing a car over the papal limousine. But on the second day at the helm, the Vatican already addressing allegations, some raising against him. A standing ovation this morning for Pope Francis, holding a meeting with the cardinals for the first time.
Di grande affetto.
His message? To find new ways to build the Catholic Church and to use the wisdom of old age to reach out to youth. The pontiff's style, in speech and in attire, reinforcing his reputation as a simple man, so humble that as a cardinal in Argentina, he would visit the slums and wash the feet of the poor.
I was shocked. Why me? Why would this man pick me? It's unusual for a cardinal to clean the feet of addicts.
And today, an effort to wash away the rumors. A Vatican spokesperson outwardly denying lingering accusations against the Pope that as a cardinal, he stayed silent about human rights abuses and failed to protect two priests who were kidnapped by Argentina's former military government.
The accusations must be firmly and clearly denied.
The negative claims from home dismissed as Pope Francis visited what will soon be his new home, the papal apartments at the Vatican, unsealed, opulent quarters for a modest pope. Now, as the world comes to know him, it turns out that on many issues, the Pope is a staunch traditionalist. He has compared abortion, for example, to death sentence, called gay marriage, quote, destructive of God's plan, though he has suggested that contraception, which the Church does oppose, may be permissible to stop the spread of disease. And for more, we're joined by Father Mark Valancourt. Father Valancourt is the president and principal of Kennedy Catholic High School in the Lower Hudson Valley. Father, thank you as always.
Pleasure to be with you.
Interesting. In many ways, this is a very interesting man, the new Pope here. And he seems to be what I think you want out of everybody, which is very firmly committed to what he thinks. And he's not a politician, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way, but he seems to go to the beat of his own drummer, and he does what his moral compass points him to right. At least that seems to be the bio that in the last few days the world has gotten to know. You think it's a fair one?
Yeah, I think it explains why he picked the name Francis, Francis of Assisi, someone, like you said, who believed he was called by God, someone who was or saw himself as a reformer in the post-Lateran Church. St. Francis of Assisi, someone who had a great love for the poor, someone who saw Lady Poverty as something to be embraced, and always shunned the trappings of power. He was
Which
never...
is in keeping with Jesuits. So, and this is, and it's significant, we talked about this last night, Jesuits, beyond the academic, rigorous, background that they have to go to become a Jesuit here, that's another first that this Pope is. And for what their contributions are, that they also have shunned some of the trappings as well, and they've had a dedication to those less fortunate.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the great Jesuit missionaries that have come up from the time, from Ignatius of Loyola to the present, they're great, what I would consider models of missionary zeal, love for the poor, preaching the gospel, avoiding things like becoming a bishop or a cardinal. But they were always first-class educators. You know, I've been taught by Jesuits myself. So when you look at someone like Pope Francis, he might seem very pastoral, very humble, but he's certainly very articulate and knows the faith.
It's interesting, the more we're learning of the dynamics for what went on in the College of Cardinals, it seemed that it came down to really two choices when it was all said and done. Obviously, the pontiff that we know now, but also Cardinal Scola, who was known as a reformer within the church, and they obviously went with this choice. With that intrigue, at least now that we learn, do you think the church made the right choice between a reformer and I don't know how you put in a box this particular pope, but certainly someone who isn't a member of the Curia and I think can change and shake up the Curia, but maybe doesn't embrace some of the same reforms that maybe a scholar from Milan did?
Well, I mean, if you look, someone who has completely deliberately distanced himself from curial posts that have been offered to him in the past, someone who has really in no way can be compromised or felt that he has close ties with any of those offices, who would be a better pick? Someone who deliberately has avoided the trappings of, you know, high ecclesial office, and himself has instead, you know, instead of being in the bishop's residence, he has a little apartment, a simple apartment. He cooks for himself. What would be the
first sign for you that he really will mean business cleaning up the Curia?
Well, when he asks everyone for their resignation and then puts in puts in his own slate.
You know, I know we would hope that the lady will be heard. It's always this common refrain. There was a polls, and I know polls don't drive the church, okay? But there were polls of American Catholics and how they feel about certain issues.
Sure.
And issue by issue, the plurality has embraced some modernity. Forget about just for birth control, but for example, letting priests marry. And I wanted to ask you about it because you got an interesting perspective. Kids at Kennedy, right? Do you think you'd have more people following your path and going in the seminary if they knew, like centuries ago, that you could wear a collar but you could get married and have a family?
Well, someone within my recent tenure at Kennedy has entered the seminaries and is currently studying for the priesthood, well, with eyes wide open. I believe the young people, you teach them more by example than the words you say. So they see, well, how I live, the other priests with me, the sisters, they have committed themselves to celibacy. They have embraced the discipline of the church happily. And that speaks more volumes than if I was to sit there and talk about and wax eloquently about the history of the discipline going back to the Council of Nicaea. That being said, I don't find that the real issue is I would be a priest if I could, but rather priesthood really, I think, in the modern culture today it resonates with faith. When the faith is strong, when someone really believes in the call, what sacrifice I have to embrace, I think, is secondary.
Well, we need more priests, and you know this better than I do, right? And my only point is we already know now there are priests that are married if they've come from Greek Orthodox backgrounds, etc. If that change were to happen, some of the other changes I don't think are possible, but in our lifetime, if that happened, do you think in any way those priests would be less qualified than maybe those that are celibate?
Absolutely not. I mean, I know a number who are married who have come into the Catholic Church. But, you know, when you want to tie declining numbers with, let's say, clerical celibacy, mainline Protestant sects have the same. So, again, I still think the comment...
It's not as simple as just marrying
No, it's about faith.
Tell everybody what we're going to see here, because Tuesday, traditionally on Sunday, is going to be the first basically full mass that the Pope would deliver, but this is going to be on Tuesday. He's already delivered his first blessing in Italian, not Latin, and this mass, who knows what language it'll be in, but talk about that, because it'll be not only a global audience, but you'll have in attendance global leaders too.
Absolutely, yeah. This will be the Mass of installation. This is when he formally inaugurates his pontificate. It is a time when he, as the principal celebrant of the Mass, offering the sacrifice first time as the Supreme Pontiff for the world, really is, let's say, his debut. He has picked St. Joseph because St. Joseph is the patron of the Universal Church. St. Joseph's feast day is a big solemnity within the church. It's on March 19th. And I think it says to all of us that he is a very devout pastoral man. You know, he's choosing St. Joseph and the Feast of St. Joseph, who was the foster father of Christ and the spouse of Mary. It really gives you that kind of the warmth of the faith and devotion. I mean, as soon as he was announced as Pope, he came out on the balcony, and what did he do? He led everyone in an Our Father, a Hail Mary, and a Glory Be. It was a very prayerful, touching, and he was someone, resonated to me, that you would expect a father to be.
Well, it's certainly going to be a global event on Tuesday. And just as programming, everyone, on Monday, I'll be sitting down with His Eminence Cardinal Egan to talk about where also the church is and where it's going, and also how Mr. Valancourt and myself's preference, Mr. Dolan, while he didn't make the cut, let's say, this time here, he obviously can speak with great affection about him as well. Father, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. All right, everyone, we are going to jump to a quick break. And when we come back, we'll bring our panel in. We're going to talk some politics. A lot of goings on at CPAC. We'll get into that right after this.